Hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations Around Cultural Heritage, a podcast from the Project Transition where we talk about the challenges of working with heritage of diverse communities. I'm Ana Carvalho, and today our guest is Ghiath Rammo, researcher and professor at Sapienza University in Italy. What are the threats to cultural heritage? What is the role of dialogue in preservation efforts? These are some of the interesting questions that Ghiath Rammo will answer to help us understand how cultural diversity can shape a more inclusive future. Let's get started. Welcome, Ghiath. You have been studying the Yezidi, a Kurdish religious community, and their cultural heritage. Tell us, how did you start studying this heritage and why?
Well, thank you, Anna, for this conversation. I'm originally a Kurdish Syrian, and so I have been growth in that context of minorities in the Middle East. After the 2014, all the world learned and heard about the violence against Yezidi and Kurdish in the Iraq and Syria especially. Having a background of archaeology, because I studied archaeology in Aleppo and I came to Rome after that, I saw that all the media, also academic centers, was focused on the simple aspects of the Kurdish and Yezidis minorities, such as language, also militaries, fighters against ISIS in that context. And in same times, a lot of Yezidi heritage has been destroyed by ISIS. So beyond on my background, local and academic one, I thought why there are no focus on the heritage of Yezidi, talking about the heritage of these minorities, especially shrines of Yezidi, and how we can call it, the practice of this minority inside these shrines. So the architectural shrine, the heritage, and the contact, the communication, relationship, between the community and the shrines. So I proposed the project to Sapienza University, and I was honored that they accept that. And so I started my PhD on Yezidi community, especially the title of PhD was Cult and Tradition of Yezidism. So sacred space and religious identity, especially in Kurdistan Sheikhan province. This was one of the reasons. And from that, I focalized my research on this community and this minority in general, especially in Middle East, in Iraq, in Syria.
Can you detail or give us some examples of this, more about these shrines and this heritage?
When we talk about Yezidi heritage, we should consider two elements, in my opinion, especially two elements: shrines and oral tradition, or oral literature traditions, because Yezidis don't have holy books. And every teach and elements, religious theology, pass from generation to generation by oral. Mm-hmm. And that could be a good element for the community, but also a bad element for the neighbor around the community, because also writing things change by the time. When we talk about oral things, they change fastly. They change that mean they across the time, they across the challenge. And both elements are two pillars of the Yezidi cultural heritage, tangible and intangible, because tangible is are shrines, intangible, this oral tradition. And this oral tradition still keeping the community of Yazidi, in my opinion, with the shrines, with the art, the identity of this community.
And that takes us to another question, which is, what are the main threats to this heritage from your experience?
The challenge of...
The threats.
The threats were violence, immigration. And that's elements that could be a threat of this community. Because of migration, that mean there are no people. We are talking about minorities. So where there are migration, there are more or less people. The new generation, to give them a role inside this practice, and this practice should be also a font of living, because if you don't have an economy, big economy, and in that context you should live, you have also wars, conflicts, migration, it's evidence that the new generation moved from their place to other place. That's happened everywhere, but for majority, it's not in evidence always. For minorities, it's not only in evidence, it's also the risk for minority. So when I talk to a lot of academics people, they said, in this context, in this situation, a lot of minorities in Middle East will be out of that history after 1 century, maximum 2 centuries. If we look to the Christianity situation from 2003 in Iraq to now, you will find no Christianity in Baghdad, only some families. Also in the Kurdish region, where they feel good, better than other places, there are always less. Same to Yezidi. Yezidi speaking English, it's Kurdish ethnic religions. So they appertain by ethnic to Kurdish ethnography. But by the religion, they are different. Because the majority of Yezidi are Muslim or from other small minority like Yarsan or a small group of Islam. They still feeling in risk, even they are in context of the ethnic Kurdish, because of the situation in the Middle East, because the Middle East is a continual evolution of changing, demography changing, geography changing, political changing. And who pay that change? They are the population, communities, small groups, big groups also, but small groups before the big groups, of course.
And to face those challenges, and based on your experience, what methodologies could be effective or have been most effective in preserving the Yazidi heritage, for example?
Well, first of all, having the institution support, because no minorities or even small groups, community, could be out of the decision of the who government the country or the region or over everything. But I think also the context of in context of culture and dialogue, we should talk about minority like, or we should accept the minorities like coexistence, not like a tolerance situation. Because when they always talking about tolerance, we are a tolerance population, we are a tolerance community. Tolerance simply meaning that you accept me, and you not accept me. You give me permission to live my situation. It's different from the coexistence. Coexistence that we live together. We have same opportunities, same laws, same space of freedom. I don't know how much of space of freedom do we have, but at least we have space. And in that space, we could move together. It's one of elements could help the communities, small communities, minorities to save the heritage and practice them culture normally without worries. Naguib Mahfouz in Italian dialect says in his writes that what is the homeland? The homeland, that space that your worries finish. When you sleep by the night, knowing that nobody will take you out from your bed, that place, it's your home. So giving these communities, these minorities, that peace of living or feeling, it's a kind of preserving the culture and heritage of that communities, in my opinion.
And you talked about an institutional framework that will help minority communities, but how can, besides that, how can minority communities themselves be more involved in these preservation efforts? Meaning this balance between what is external intervention, is it whether it is institutional, whether it is more academic or even international, and the role of communities in these processes. How do you see this? How can communities be more involved?
Well, you mean breaking the walls, barriers between both of them, communities and other academics' work. I think also small communities, minorities should make steps, opening themselves to the world. In which way? I can give you an example for the Yezidi, talking about the Yezidi community. In 19th, from the last century, more academic studies became have been done on Yezidi because of two reasons, in my opinion. One of them, some of the Yezidi communities start to write about the heritage and in same time collaborate with other academics from Europe, especially with the George August University in Göttingen in Germany. They are a leader in Yezidi academic research in the last years, and they produced a lot of material in that case. But that was easy, it was possible because of collaboration with academics, professors, and local researchers. And that was a very good results for the community, because the other academic center have information. In same time, also the other world know the Yezidis, but the Yezidis themselves also they know each other more than before, and in that way you break the wall of worries, both of them, because when the other communities don't know anything about your reality or your heritage, it's also from your side, it's necessary to make some steps. I don't mean change yourself, but at least letting them to know more about you without afraid, because we shouldn't judge someone about his history, how much is big, how much is old, how much is small, how much is recent. The heritage, it was you believe that is your heritage, because the heritage in some way also your identity. and you accept your identity, I should respect that. Even I am not agree with that. And in that case, when the communities don't have worries about to be judged about the other, in that way, I think the communication, the collaboration will be better, and that is one of the way to preserve heritage of the communities.
So the transition project, which is an European Union funded project, is about exactly preserving the tangible and intangible heritage of minorities in Kurdistan region of Iraq and in Yemen. So in your opinion, how can our project transition contribute to preserve this heritage?
I think the positive side of a project like transition in this case are in the dialogue between the partners, having different ideas. You know, also in our meetings during this project, there are always something new talking about minorities and the rights of minorities, the right of other, talking about this context, giving some way ideas to the other and making tangible the work of this project are also to making the other know that the collaboration with the communities, meaning also visiting, having exchange ideas between the minorities. It's easy talking about minorities inside the classes, and it's also easy to finish there the dialogue between students and the professor. But it's different when the professor brings him student to visit some places, to have discussion with the other, because the students, in especially like we know, when they are more younger, you have different idea and you have more question. You are so curious to know, and that makes some of laboratory testing between communities and students with the presence of academics, professors, and someone to can manage the dialogue between the communities and respecting from both of them during this dialogue. I think transition project could be useful in that way, making the other knowing that preserving the heritage of minorities, meaning dialogue and accepting the coexisting together.
Thank you so much, Ghiath.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
If you'd like to know more, you'll find some useful links in the episode description. Until next time, thank you for listening.